Hey there, everybody. This is Caleb S3D1, and today I just wanted to kind of just lean back. I kind of wanted to talk about Pepsi and how in the past they've done giveaways, but then didn't give away the money or whatever it was that they were giving away. Um, so it so what happened was they did these giveaways hoping that people will fall for them. And when people get the winning tickets or the winning uh, Pepsi caps and they go to turn them in, they're like, we don't owe you anything, and they shut out that person, and they've made people unalive themselves because of it. So the $1 million cap giveaways is one of their worst things that they've done, because they sorry, scraggly mustache get in my face. All right. So one of the worst things that they've done is you would get a bottle of Pepsi, usually glass. You would take the cap off and you look at the underside of the cap. And if the underside of the cap said, "Oh, you won $1 million," you would go to Pepsi's headquarters to turn it in. Well, a lot of the people I think that all of the people who went to go turn them in said that Pepsi lied and that they did not get $1 million. And this caused a lot of people to unalive themselves. I can't say the specific word that I that I'm supposed to use, but for fear that I might infringe or break YouTube's TOS, I gotta make a living. Anyways, yeah. So they also, this is something that they also did. A kid, I'm guessing in his 20s, I don't know very much about the story, other than he obtained a way to get the jet that Pepsi was giving away. And Pepsi just tried tremendously to not let this kid get this fighter pilot jet from Pepsi. And when they did that, they went through a court that had a female judge. And the female judge ruled on behalf of Pepsi because Pepsi paid her off. See where all of these are going? They don't want certain people to win these sweepstakes. So they forcibly say, no, we're not going to pay you, or no, we're not going to give you this. Anyways, I'm going to go into way more deeper details on things that Pepsi is known for in just a moment, but I'm going to put at the very end of the video a link with a link to my Patreon on the screen so that you guys can sign up for my Patreon if you're willing to. I would recommend you guys start out by signing up for the $1 Patreon, because the $5 Patreon, I still haven't figured out how to whatever. I just got interrupted and I lost my train of thought. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to gameplay. See you there. Hey, what is up, YouTube? This is Caleb S3D1, and today I am going to be doing a video on Pepsi. First, explaining their history, and then second, talking about some of the shady stuff they've done. So, Pepsi was invented in 1893 as Brad's drink by Caleb Bradham. I know, right? Isn't it ironic that his name is Caleb? Anyways, he sold the drink in at a drugstore in New Bern, Carolina. Bradham sought to create a fountain drink that was appealing and would aid in digestion and boost energy. It was renamed Pepsi Cola in 1898 due to its formulas, inclusions of essence and of pepsin. This was a then common medicinal preparation made from digestive enzyme pepsin and glycerin and a mild alcohol added. It was often used as an additive to make bitter medicines palatable, as well as curdling milk, although this point is seemingly disputed by modern writers. The earliest print advertisements for the beverage carried the subtitle "The Pepsin Drink," as boasted its presence for the sake of relieving indigestion, as well as alleviating headaches and drowsiness. Okay, whatever. A key selling point in 1902 advertisement claimed that a glass of Pepsi Cola contained a teaspoon worth of concoction. The original recipe included sugar and vanilla. Bradham would incorporate the Pepsi Cola Company on December 24, 1902, and moved the bottling Pepsi from his drugstore to a rented warehouse in 1903. That year, Branham would sell 7,968 gallons of syrup. The next year, Pepsi would be introduced in 6 bottles, and sales increased to 19,848 gallons. In 1909, automobile race pioneer Barney Oldfield was the first celebrity to endorse Pepsi, describing it as a bully drink, refreshing, invigorating, a fine bracer for before a race. The advertisement themed delicious and healthful was then used over the next 2 decades. In 1923, Pepsi-Cola went bankrupt, in a large part due to financial loss incurred by speculating on the wild fluctuating sugar prices. As a result, World War I assets were sold and Roy C. Margaret bought Pepsi trademark. I don't even know how to pronounce that word, so I'm just going to say Marge. Marge was unsuccessful in the efforts to find the funding to revive the brand, and soon Pepsi-Cola's assets were purchased by Charles Guth, the president of Loft Inc. Loft was a candy manufacturer with retail stores that contained soda fountains. He sought to replace Coca-Cola at his stores. Fountains after the Coca-Cola Company refused to give him additional discounts on syrups. Guth then had Loft's chemists reformulate the Pepsi-Cola syrup formula on 3 occasions between 1922 and 1933. The Coca-Cola Company was offered the opportunity to purchase Pepsi-Cola Company, which it declined on each occasion. That was pretty freaking stupid, honestly. Growth in popularity. During the Great Depression, Pepsi gained popularity following the introduction in 1934 of the 12-ounce bottle. Prior to that, Pepsi and Coca-Cola sold their drinks in a 6.5-ounce servings for about a nickel per a bottle. With a radio advertising campaign featuring the popular jingle Nickel Nickel, first recorded by the Tune Twisters in 1940, Pepsi encouraged price-conscious consumers to double the volume their nickels could purchase. The jingle is arranged in a way that loops, creating a never-ending tune. Interesting. Pepsi-Cola hit the spot. 12 full ounces, that's a lot. Twice as much for a nickel, too. Pepsi-Cola is the drink for you, okay. Coming at a time of economic crisis, the campaign succeeded in boosting Pepsi's status From 1936 to 1938, Pepsi Cola's profits doubled. Pepsi Cola success under Charles Guth's came from Loft Candy's business was faltering. Sorry, came while the Loft Candy's business was faltering. He had initially used lost finances and facilities to establish the new Pepsi success. The near bankrupt Loft Company sued Guth for possession of the Pepsi Cola Company. A long legal battle, Guth versus Loft, then ensued, with the case reaching a Delaware Supreme Court and ending in a loss for Guth. The Pepsi Cola name would be shortened to simply Pepsi as early as 1945, when the bottles transitioned to standard paper labels to an applied color label ACL process, which involved screen printing and enamel painting graphics directly onto a bottle, high temperature. The neck of the bottle design displayed a small void of Pepsi logo in color on the front, and a truncated version of the script reading Pepsi on the opposite side. This motif would be carried over to the bottle design and logo were introduced in the mid 1951. When the drink was rebranded in 1962, two versions of the same logo with either name were used interchangeably. By 1969, the drink would almost exclusively be referred as Pepsi, but the full name would retain for secondary uses. Second half of the 20th century, Pepsi Cola began a continuous rise in popularity, and sales growth started in the 1950s under the leadership of Alfred Steele and later Donald M. Kendall, with Pepsi having been seen as a poor man's Coca-Cola that was popular in the kitchen, but it rarely arrived in the parlor. Steele gravitated production from economy to quality. The sugar content in Pepsi Cola syrup was also lowered slightly to de-sweeten the taste. Combined with the company production changes, Pepsi sales had boomed by 1956 and gradually narrowed the gap to its large competitor. By the mid-1950s, amid a time when cola products were booming all over the world, the drink was being bottled in over 700 plants across 70 countries. These helped make Pepsi Cola a popular product in many markets, including Middle East following the opening of the plant in Cairo and the Beirut Daily Star, referred as Pepsi Cola culture, when distribution began in Lebanon in 1952. Notably, in 1974, Pepsi became the very first American consumer product to be produced, marketed, and sold in the Soviet Union. In 1958, the swirl design bottle began to be used in distributing Pepsi. In 1963, the drink began to distributed in America in larger 16-ounce bottles and 12-ounce cans introduced as well. Diet Pepsi, a second Pepsi product, was and the first extending the brand was launched in 1964. Beginning in the mid-1960s, aggressive and effective marketing of the products see Pepsi generate. Okay, I don't need to read that. Mostly aimed at younger generation, drastically increased the drink's popularity to become a formidable competitor to longtime market leader Coca-Cola. Pepsi machines were also installed in the White House cafeteria when Richard Nixon, who already had a close relationship with Pepsi, assumed the American presidency in 1969. Although total Pepsi sales never overtook that of Coca-Cola, the latter's lead in the American market had been narrowed to 1.5 to 1 as of 1980 from 5 to 1 in 1950, and Pepsi was outselling its rival in the take-home market, which includes supermarkets. In November 1984, PepsiCo announced that it would, at least in the U.S., exclusively use high fructose corn syrup to sweeten its canned, bottled, and fountain Pepsi Cola, replacing cane sugar. The Coca-Cola Company did the same around the same time, and that's the history of Pepsi. So I want also talk about something that's very important. If you ever want to make a promise in life, you better deliver on that promise. Otherwise, you look like a fool and really kind of an asshole. Because I'll give you an example. Let's say you're in college and you see that, your friend is like always eating by himself because he doesn't really like eating next to other people. Something about eating next to other people kind of grosses him out or something like that. And you're like, So you offer him like, I don't know, like some kind of soft drink, like Mountain Dew Code Red, in return for just a little bit of money, like $7 a week. and he'll drink, he'll take the 12 pack of Mountain Dew Code Red 12-ounce cans, and he'll pay you $7 each week so that you can make a profit out of it. Not much of a profit, but enough just to get, him Mountain Dew Code Red so that he can sit back and hang out with his friends online and talk with them and play video games with them and stay up past his regular bedtime. That's a valid promise, and if you're like that, then people will trust you. That they won't look at you and be like, "Oh God, it's Caleb. What is he up to now?" You know what I mean? Anyways. So, I want to talk about 2 times Pepsi lied through their teeth about giveaways. Let's start with the first one. The first one I want to talk about is when Pepsi was giving away $1 million to caps that were winning caps. So you would buy a Pepsi glass bottle, and you would take the cap off. You would inspect the cap from the bottom and, look at it. And if it said, "Hey, you've won $1 million, you've won $1 million." And so when these people went to turn them in, a lot, I don't know the full story, but I know that a lot of them were turned down the money. So a lot of people unalived themselves because Pepsi lied through their teeth about the whole thing. And that's why you always stick to your promises, It's morally wrong to be like, "Hey, I'll buy you freaking energy drinks so that you can stay up longer and play with your online friends longer if you want." And if that person agrees and you don't follow through, he's going to think you're an asshole. Especially if he's like, "Hey, did you just come back from the grocery store? I have your $7. Don't be an asshole." And then the second thing that I wanted to talk about, this is probably the most ridiculous one. A kid, this kid had saved up Pepsi points so that there was a giveaway where they were giving away a fighter jet that had Pepsi brands on it. And this kid won it, and when Pepsi was confronted with this kid that said, "Hey, here's the points that I won. Can I have my jet now?" They fought tooth and nail in court to not give this kid his jet. And finally, it went to court, and they paid the judge off, and the judge, which was a female judge, she said in her own words, yeah, Pepsi was just making a joke when they did this advertisement. You're not getting a jet, and this case is going to be thrown out. And it just frustrates me. It irks me, you know? Like, this kid gave them, like, $700,000 just to get something, just to get, like, punched in the kidney, you know? Like, I'm done with these corporations. I'm so sick of hearing about all of the things that they've done just for pure greed. That's all it comes down to, is the money. You know, money. And anyways, guys, I know this was a really long one, and I apologize if it was too long, but you know, you gotta stick to your promises, and I just wanted to talk about that. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like. If you have any opinions on what I just told you, comment them below. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Oh, and at some point in the video, I'm going to put a link in the frame so that you can pause and go to it. It's the link that goes to my Patreon. Please, people, please. You don't have to buy the $5 one, but if at least somebody could start off with at least $1, I would greatly appreciate it. Anything else? Anything else? I'm spending my own personal money on making these videos more snappy. So that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.